Hello there, Adam Bazalgette here, founder of SW Golf Academy. I'm at one of the chipping greens here at the club at Mediterra, Naples, Florida. If you're ever in town, want to look me up for a golf lesson, would always be pleased to hear from you. Our real point is how to develop touch, feel and accuracy in your short game. Going to get into a number of little keys, but the thing is we're looking for two things. Simplicity, number one, that always gives you much more likelihood of repetitive good feel and good touch. And secondly, I'm going to give you keys, at least try to express them in a way that's very natural, hopefully makes sense to you, so that you can remember them and put them into practice. So in this video, we're going to confine it to fairly short shots near the green, off a good lie, chips and pitches if you like, chips and greenside pitches. The biggest thing that determines whether it's a chip or a pitch is, of course, the amount of roll. The chip rolls more, and the biggest thing that determines that's club selection. Not going to deal with that too much now. The stroke is roughly the same, although certainly most pitches require more club head speed because of the loft, so you might need a little bit bigger swing. We'll get into that. Let's have a look at what would make it simple. Okay, principle number one to remember: roundness of swing, or plane if you like, gives you more potential power. You get the club like a driver much more behind you. You can create a lot more speed than if you go in a straight line, but we're looking for accuracy, so we want something much closer to a straight line. First thing you'd want to do is get quite a bit nearer the ball. This would be maybe my normal distance. I'm going to get a good bit closer, choke down a bit, and just feel generally more snug, and that is going to determine for me a straighter back and through swing. Now I'm going to show you a drill for that in a moment once we've looked at the principle from face on, but remember, the more these things, these principles make sense, straight line, more accuracy than rounded plane, the more you'll be able to remember them. So get up near the club, take your right hand off. If I had to whack the back of my fingers on my left hand, there would be a very slight arc I would engage here. I certainly wouldn't do that. That's the feeling I want with the club. Let's have a look from here, then we'll do our drills. Simplicity is our theme here. When it's a small stroke, picture a bunt in baseball, get yourself ready for impact at address. You don't have much time for movement, so feet certainly close together. Listen, we're not trying to be dynamic with the lower body on a chip, but if you were tossing a tennis ball, your knees and hips would float along with the throwing motion. If you get too wide and get stuck, you lose that flow. So feet close together, certainly an option to turn them a touch to the left, turn the knees and toes in a bit. But I like to get that feeling in my body, not just a forward press, but I really feel engaged and ready, so that in the smallest amount of motion, I'm right back to that position I want to be hitting from. This is a 48-degree gap wedge. Next sort of things you'd want to think about a little bit. Certainly we talked about the plane affecting distance, the straighter plane accuracy, but again, thinking common sense thoughts, the more the club is tied into the body motion, so to speak, the more predictable, the more independently the club moves, the more speed, but less predictable. But don't make the mistake, which I see a lot of people do. They become tin soldiers and there's no feel. It's still a game of club and ball. So you're trying to find a mixture here where there's a little bit of body motion for sure, but there's still some feel, some energy in the club. Stricker would be an example, well-known great chipper with almost no wrist cock, at least on these small ones. Mickelson at the opposite end, a lot of wrist cock. I favor something a little bit in between. We'll give you a drill for that. First, let's look at our drill from here. A couple of drills here for down the line. We're going to use that alignment rod as a target. It's a little bit easier for you to say. By the way, if you like this video, I hope you'll consider subscribing to SW Golf Academy. Fortunately, we have a lot of subscribers and videos. Hopefully, we're helping people. Whatever it is you do, hit the like or whatever the things people do. And by the way, if you do subscribe, hit the bell. You'll be notified every time a new video is coming. Okay, here's our drills. Trying to stay with stuff that's a little instinctive, stuff that makes sense. If I knocked the ball out of the way, if it was my job, if I had to look at the alignment rod and toss the club towards it, just toss it 10 yards. I'll bet you if you played around with that idea, put something out in front of you, your golf bag or whatever, you would be amazed how brilliant your mind is at putting the club in the right position when it knows exactly where it's going. The difficulty is when we're just staring at this and trying to hit this, tends to evaporate a little bit. So make a couple of back swings. You still have to engage a little bit. We're not just placing it. And just say, hey, does that feel like I could hit the flag from there or hit the stick? And then once you've done it, just look back here, look down and check it out. I'll bet you wouldn't do this or this if you do that. Here's another drill that I think is pretty helpful. Got the putter here. If I had to, in that direction, I'm not so worried about the target now, but more contact. If I had something very thin to hit with, the edge of this relative blade putter with just a nice little rhythm, and I just had to tap that. Is there any conceivable way that I would do this or roll the club or pick it up? I seriously doubt it. So if you picture something with a little more precision, then get your club and just sense, hey, in the natural world, if I had a tiny hammerhead there and a little needle nail, without panicking or without being too sort of place the hands, how would I move the club to hit that? You'll be on the right track. Let's have a look from here. So for feeling the body help control the stroke, let's put that in there. A little towel, this is a golf towel folded up, and start to make a few strokes where you feel that engagement, you feel a certain togetherness, but again, you have to dial this through. This is where there's some feel, some fun in the game. As a coach, don't be the kind of student who's 100% dependent on me telling you or whoever's telling you what to do. You've got to get the principles, then you get the enjoyment of going out and customizing it a bit for yourself. So do this at home or away from the ball, make some swings, first where I really feel like one piece. Now I'm starting to relax, feel a little bit more play and movement in the club. And one other suggestion along these lines, by the way, I would take the arms when you chip from here and soften them a bit. You don't need the tight arms to support the club. It's not going at high speed. Softer arms, a little bit more feel, and just dial it back and forth till you're getting some feel, but the genesis of the stroke is much more from your torso. Final word coming up. So here's that final word. It's about the through swing. Let me just re-encourage you before I give you that. Have some fun getting better at golf. Don't just be force-fed information that you go out and hope works. Get the principles and go out and practice and play with it. You'll have more fun. You'll do a lot better. You'll get some ownership over these things when you're playing if you'll do these things. Okay, here's the final word. I'm not going to chip it and break the nice camcorder there, but you remember, we talked about target-oriented backswing. It's the same on the through swing. There is a slight arc, but I'm still trying to propel the ball, and to some extent, as an image, the club towards the target. So how does my body need to do that? I see so many people, they've been told to turn and they're making this big turn. That has nothing to do with improving your chipping and getting your club to the target. So try to feel the sort of motion. Again, maybe tossing something would be an instinctive way to gauge it, but the sort of motion where you feel a little bit of this, a little bit of a sense that, hey, what I'm doing is helping the project of getting the club moved toward the target. There's a little bit of tilt in it. Dial these things in. Chipping's important. The average golfer misses a lot of greens. Hope this helps you.